Hi guys, my name is Meheranshi. I am currently in my first year of MA Economics Honors at DSE, and I had a few tips, last minute tricks, strategies to follow for CUET revision, things that I have personally followed. They might not work for everybody equally, but all I want you to do is be open-minded enough to be able to experiment through these different tricks and techniques and basically be able to know which works best for you. And this is going to help you a lot right now. This is, I feel like, the perfect time, because after this, once you know all these tricks, the things that are more efficient for you personally, this is going to help you give your CUET exams properly, efficiently, and to your best ability. Not just that, but also your any exams that you're going to give beyond this, right? So I'll just jump straight into it. I use cheat sheets a lot. So cheat sheets are mind maps, basically sheets which have very briefly written the concepts in them, especially theoretical concepts like 5-year plans or any other Indian eco concepts that you don't really have any logic behind, but you just have to remember it factually, something like that. So I would write down that, and the name of the economist, the name of the authors of some books, if there are any, some years that are important, I would just highlight those in that, very briefly create a sheet of a certain concept or a certain topic, and I would have a lot of sheets like that. I would just keep it in the folder, I would stick it on the wall, I would stick it on the door, I would click photos of that in my gallery and keep revising it, anywhere I would go. It would be handy to you. So do use that, that helps a lot. Then secondly, for people who are not visual learners, so if you see the sheet again and again and again, you kind of get an imprint of that in your head. So whenever you would close your eyes, you'd be able to imagine that sheet, you'd be able to remember and revise all that without looking at the sheet after a certain point of time. However, if visual doesn't work for you, audio might work for you, in the sense that if you have this sheet, you can't seem to remember it, you read that sheet, you record yourself, your own voice, reading that content, reading that information, and then listen to it wherever you would go. So if you are, say, going on a walk to relax for a bit, listen to it. If you are, while you are traveling to the exam center, any last minute information that you could use, listen to that, and that might help you get that information in your head properly a lot, right? So that helped me a lot. I would suggest online resources, of course. YouTube, Artha Point channel has a lot of series. Ma'am has been putting up Sankalp series, Sambhav series. Revision is endless, so keep doing as many questions as possible as you can. There are websites that have those test series, they have those timed test series. Otherwise, you can also use things like ChatGPT. You could give it your syllabus and you could ask it to generate a few MCQ questions based on that, and then you would be able to get a wider range of questions. It would help that would help a lot. And for PYQs, I wanted to say a point. If you have not touched the PYQs yet, do not wait for revision, do not wait for the exam to come close. Please jump into it straight. Attempt the PYQs as much as possible. At least that first shock that you are supposed to get whenever you can't seem to think quick on your feet, you have to get used to that feeling. You have to get used to that little bit of anxiety that you might have, that I might not be able to remember the answer to this question very quickly. You have to go through it right now so that it's not going to happen in the exam. So if you have not attempted the papers, do attempt the papers first hand. The first time you're going to attempt it, use a timer and instantly jump into it. If you have attempted them already, I would suggest go back to it, revise whatever concepts you got wrong or whatever concepts you could not remember. Go through that. Have a sheet of paper, I would suggest. You go through that concept, say you go on YouTube, you watch 3-4 videos based on that concept, it gets in your head very well after 3-4 videos, right? Then you take a piece of paper, just blurt out whatever you can about it, or create a cheat sheet, as I said, or a mind map. Just write down the main concept, any related concepts to it, write down the names of it, but you have to make the cheat sheet brief, but you have to recall it elaborately in your head. And this could also work handy for questions like which of the following sentences are correct or which are incorrect, and all of them are related to the same concept. So what you can do is, if there is one topic and you remember all of these different bits of information about it in the paper, you'd be able to check off that question very easily. If all of them are, say, related to some concept of public economics, or all of them are related to ISLM BP model or utility maximization, something like that, you'd be quickly able to remember, because you remember that entire layout. So you'd be quickly able to check whether which one is correct or which one is incorrect, and answer accordingly, right? If you have attempted the PYQs, as I said, go back and revise. Um, you can also attempt questions from other PYQs that are similar to CUET. For example, SAU, Azim, Premji. Do again, if you're doing them for the first time, do it with a timer. Get used to that feeling of being in the exam hall or giving the exam in a certain period of time. You would learn time management from that. You would learn a lot of, you won't be panicky or you would be relatively calmer if you go in the exam hall with this practice. So I would suggest this a lot. This helped a lot. Again, go through all the videos that ma'am has been uploading. I remember at my time it really helped me a lot. I was very grateful to ma'am for that. Go through any of the videos, materials online that you can possibly, and do follow the Pareto principle at this point. 80% of your answers in the paper will come from 20% of the majority concepts that you're doing. So do those very wisely. Don't worry about those one or two outlier questions that you might get, for example, with authors and their books, right? That's just factual information. Use cheat sheets or use audio recordings to remember all of that. But even in case you get such a question in the exam that you're not able to remember, or you don't know that particular that those would be very few. It would be a very few outlier questions like that. Just one or two questions which are not related to UG or not related to what you've been studying so far. You have been studying everything so far. That information is all in your head. You just have to access it in the exam hall. Just have that much confidence in yourself. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in your brain. Have faith in your hard work. Um, and yeah, that's more or less just it. Don't compromise on revision. And a few other lines I wanted to say. So for subjects that are very theoretical, for example, you have public economics, you have Indian economics, right? There's no need to read any books or any articles or any elaborate piece of information anymore. Don't do that. Just as I said, for Indian eco specifically, I remember I used to watch ma'am's videos a lot. Go back to the playlists that ma'am has created. Go back to other channels on YouTube that are creating similar content, and go through all of them as much as possible. You can use PYQs and your UG information to see how much in depth of each topic are they going into, right? So they won't go for certain topics. For example, with the I remember the consumption life cycle model and all that. It's not a very They're not going to go very deep into it. You have a basic grasp of the concept and you know one or two numericals on it. That's more than enough for it. They're not going to ask you the intuition behind a certain particular line or a topic, right? So remember which topics to go in depth into, which topics to touch from the surface and come back. So that is very important to save your time. Um, for maths and stats and for numerical based questions, it's not a very technical paper. You have to understand one thing that is good about CUET is that it's not a very difficult paper to deal with. The range of topics is, however, very wide. So for math stats questions or for numerical questions, do practice numericals, do practice. There might be one or two numericals that might come out. Again, I said outliers. They would be very difficult or they might be completely out of the blue. Don't worry about them. Nobody, if you're not able to attempt them, chances are a lot of students are also not able to attempt them. So don't worry about it. Don't panic in the exam about it. Just do whatever you can to the fullest possible extent. Give the exam to your best ability. That is what is suggested. Do whatever is in your hands and don't worry about anything else. Yeah, so for technical papers, be very clear with the concept of it. Be very clear with when you can apply which concept, which formula. Again, create a cheat sheet of formulas. I had that as well. Um, and just know, even if you've not practiced a lot of questions, if you know the intuition behind it, you would be able to apply it at that time. So for example, there's also simple linear regression, so they might the formula for r square might come handy. So things like that, just keep a sheet of those formulas. Again, stick it on your wall, stick it on your door, click a photo of it, record it, whatever you can to sort of imprint that information in your head, so that whenever you see the question, you immediately know all the concepts related to that information or to that topic, right? So that will help a lot. Lastly, for Indian eco, as I said, so don't leave out any subject. Don't think, okay, this particular topic or this particular subject won't come up. Don't rely on past years for similar topics to come up. They definitely won't give the same topics. However, the way of asking the question would be very similar, so you will get an idea of that. um, and that's more or less all that I could say. Please keep revising every day. um, Keep watching all the videos that ma'am has been uploading. It's been of great help to me. I am sure it's going to be of great help to you as well. And all the very best for exams.